if there's one thing that I learned in my 20s was that you have to build certain habits early. And I didn't start building some of these habits until I was on my way to turning 30. And now that I'm in my mid 30s, I've learned that these 5 habits have kept me on point and kept me, each year, building a little bit of success every year. So it's all about, building brick by brick. You're not going to do something overnight, but if you start building these habits early, you're going to start achieving the same type of success. So if you find yourself where you're feeling poor, you're feeling like you can't get ahead, or you're just feeling like your mindset ain't right, if you start applying these 5 habits to your life, I promise you're going to feel a whole lot better, and good things are going to start coming your way. All right, the first habit that you got to start changing is lifestyle inflation. So this right here is probably the biggest issue or the biggest problem we have as people when we get out to the world and we get a new job, or maybe we got that raise. Once you see that money come in, we just tend to spend it. And I'm not going to sit here and lie that I haven't been the one. I've made more money, and I've also spent it. Like I said, in my 20s, I learned a lot of that. I started making more money in my 20s than I ever did because I was fresh out of college. I was broke in college, and I wanted to spend. I wanted to have nice things. Wanted to go here. Wanted to go there. But you slowly realize that all this money coming in, you're just putting it right back out. So lifestyle inflation is real, and it does happen. And if you don't have a way to track anything or keep yourself in check, this is gonna be a quick way to make you feel poor, make you feel you can't get ahead. If you want to invest, things like that, you're not going to be able to if every time you make more money, you just continue to spend it. So lifestyle inflation is real. If you make more money, learn to live off of what you were originally making. Don't go and buy something else just to raise your bills. Start putting that money away, and that way you don't have any of those issues later. Second thing is avoiding education. So I know college is not very attractive to people right now because it costs too much. And I agree, definitely costs too much. But here's the problem. If you don't go to school and you try to, work out here in the world, eventually you're going to run into a problem where you're going to need school because you don't have experience. And even if you do, you're going to run into somebody who has experience and also has education. So you're going to need something. So the problem that I've seen with people that go to college is you just don't choose the right major. So you got to do your research in choosing the major. Make sure you know how much you're going to make, at least an idea, do the research on that. What are the job growth looks like? Is it going to be around for a while? We're in a different time now where, AI may take over some of the the fields, and you may get pushed out of a job maybe in a few years of you graduating. So choosing the right major is huge. I think college is still a necessity, unless like you're an entrepreneur and you're just going to go that route and you're going to go all in, double down. That's fine too. There's different routes to do it. There's trades, things like that. But either way, you're going to have to invest in some type of education if you want to get ahead in life. So you can't avoid it. You might as well pick something. The second part to that is you're going to have to find a mentor. So although you're going to have education, you're going to want to find somebody that's already left the footprints for you. So I always tell people that success leaves footprints, and you just got to follow them. So you don't have to worry about creating your own way. All you got to do is follow the footsteps and then kind of, add your own little style to it. But every path, any which way you go, whether it's real estate, you want to be an accountant, whatever the case is, there's somebody who already did it. So all you got to do is follow the footsteps and you're going to be fine. So this is why it's important to get a mentor. I learned this the later in my years when I wanted to get into real estate, and I started, searching for places that I could find a mentor in real estate. And when I finally found them, that's when I started to get, 1 property, 2 properties, and I started selling houses. So, it can really change your life having a mentor. You just got to find somebody who's as invested, or who is invested in you and your success. Now, whether you would pay for one or not, I'm not sure. I never had to pay. I did a lot of they called me and I was there to help with whatever I needed, whatever they needed. So maybe it's something like that. You put some sweat equity into it. Let them know that, hey, if you call me, I'm here for you. And, if I just need advice, can you, lead me, on a path or point me in the right direction. Third habit that's keeping you poor is not reading any books. So when I was in my 20s, I never read any books. I hated reading as a kid, hated reading in college, hated reading in high school. I was like, I'm not going to read as an adult. But what I learned very quickly is the average millionaire reads about 12 books a year. So if that is true, and I'm reading 0, that's probably explaining why I was in the position I was in. So when I started reading books, the first book I read was Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. So like I said, these are the things that I have learned. Lifestyle inflation. I didn't avoid education, but I also didn't have a mentor. So lifestyle inflation got me. I didn't have a mentor. Although shout out to my parents because they did help me a lot. But at the same time, if you're in your 20s and you got money, you're kind of hard-headed like me. You're gonna learn, on your own. So I go and buy Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. I had some credit card things that I needed to get rid of. So I read the whole book and I just started applying that to my life and stayed disciplined. I was able to wipe out all that credit card debt and start and just have 0. And then from there, I started to build, getting other credit cards, but now I was paying them off every month. So now I was seeing more money staying in than it was going out. So the second book that I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a good book to read because it teaches you how to operate and network out in the world. Like I said, you have to learn how to talk to people. I know if you don't, eventually there's going to be a time where you're going to have to be out in the field and you're going to have to talk to people. I mean, it's just kind of the way the world is. So you want to create that, personality and you want to be able to create relationships with people. I think aside from money, the biggest investment I think you can make is in people. So as long as you're able to operate out here and you're a good person, and people see that, then you're going to have a lot. Your network's going to grow a lot by doing that. Third book that I read was The One Thing. This book, I actually really enjoyed this book. And what was funny, a funny story about this book, or I guess it's not funny, but I was at the mall while my wife was shopping, and I was just sitting, on a chair reading a book, and it was this one. And this older man walked up to me, and he told me that was one of the best books he read. He's like, make sure you finish reading that book. It's definitely gonna change your life. So I don't know who he was, but he just walked up to me and he told me that. So I was even more fired up to finish reading it. But The One Thing is a great book. The title kind of tells you a little bit about what it dives into, but it just shows you how to manage everything. Their life is so crazy, and you got family, you got friends, you got spouses, you got girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever the case is. But this kind of shows you how to manage everything and how to do it. I think one of the biggest things that I get told is how do you do so much? And I really don't feel like I'm doing that much. I do have, it's just all about managing time and knowing what's important. So The One Thing is definitely a good book to read. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, just finished reading that one. Exactly how the title says. I mean, it just opens up your eyes to different things and what to care about, what not to care about. So definitely a good book to read. 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. This was a great read. Very easy read, actually. So this also opens up your eyes into what's important and how to achieve kind of those two things, wealth and happiness. So definitely get those 5 books. It's going to change your life. Get you right on. Get you started for the next year if you haven't read any books yet. Definitely get these 5. And I'll leave a link down below in the description so you can check them out. The 4th habit that's probably keeping you poor is that you don't budget. I didn't budget either when I was in my 20s, and I learned the hard way. So like I said, I kind of put these in order because it kind of seems like this is kind of how the dominoes fall. So budgeting is very important. If you've seen any of my other videos, I have a link to a budget sheet that you can put on your phone. You can switch to an Excel sheet if you need to, but you can track all your finances on there, and you just plug them in. I already have the formulas built for you, but this is very important because you don't want to be losing track of where your money's at. You don't want to know, you don't want to be guessing where your money's going. And the other thing is too, like if you have different credit cards or whatever the case is, you want to make sure you're catching fees and things like that. Or if, God forbid somebody, some fraud thing happens and somebody takes money out of your account and you don't even realize it. So budgeting is very important. You want to see what's going in, what's going out. It is, you got to run your life like a business, and it's a good habit to build. And I think if you start doing this month to month, you're going to see a definitely change in your finances for sure. And it teaches you how to build discipline because you have to check it, and you have to make adjustments. So I think it's a good habit to start building right off the bat in your 20s, because that's when you're probably making, it's not when you're making the most money, but it feels that way because you're by yourself if you don't have a family or things like that. But if you do have a family and you're just starting out, you're like me, this is probably the best time to do it because, with the new addition to the family, more expenses are going to come. So you want to start, cutting out where you can, so that way you have that money saved in case, something happens and you need it. So this ties right into the last habit that's keeping you poor, and that's savings. If you're not saving, then you're definitely setting yourself up for failure in the long run, because there's going to be a time where you're going to need some money, something happens to your car or whatever the case is, or maybe you want to invest. It's time. You're like, I want to make some more money. I want to invest in something, but you don't have the money saved, and you don't want to be going asking, to borrow more money or put it on your credit card, because it's money you don't even have, and you have to be sure how you're going to pay it back. So savings is very important, and I know it gets hard because you got friends inviting you places, you want to go out to eat, you want to buy the new Jordans, you want to get a new car, all these things that you want to do, and savings and savings puts like a kibosh on all that, because technically you have the money, but you're telling yourself you don't have the money because you're putting it in your savings account. So I think if you learn to live broke, this is one of the habits that I learned, is just learn to live broke, just for at least for a little while, whether it's a year or two, just, if you have to, just don't buy no clothes, wear the same things. And this is why I like books is very important, because you got to feed your mind, right? So the subtle art of not giving a fuck ties right into this. So if I'm not buying clothes and they're like, dang man, didn't you wear that sweater last week? Yeah, I did. So what? It's just a sweater. It's like you don't have to have all those things just to keep up with everybody. Like, you know what the goal is. You know where your vision is. So what does it matter if you wear the same hoodie or you wear the same shoes or whatever? Obviously you look decent. You want to feel good, look good, and then all that does matter. But try to keep it to a minimum so that way you can build that savings account. And once you reach your goal, whether it's 500, 1,500, 2,000, whatever the goal is, then go get yourself something. Because then you're like, all right, man, I worked for this. I put it all, and I still got money in the bank. You don't want to be that person that goes and buys it and you have it on payments and you still have no money in the bank. That's not how you want to be. So I think learning to build a habit of saving is going to set you up in the long run. I learned this, because when I wanted to get into real estate, I was able to get the money. I was able to dive in, and it was a great experience because I was able to, feel what it was like to own a rental property and see the passive income come in. I didn't have to watch YouTube videos anymore. I knew how to do it, and I could do it. And that's why I say the budget sheet or a budget sheet is going to be important to have, because that's going to help you save. You're going to see what's coming in, what's coming out. So like I said, I'm going to leave a link down in the description below for that budget sheet in case you want to check it out. There's plenty of other ones out there, and it's edible. You can make it, however you want to look, but the formulas are already there. So if you got anything from this video, Please like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what habits are you building for next year, or what'd you do this year to try to set up your year for success. And I'm gonna leave a link down below for all the books that I mentioned, that I listed. I'm gonna leave a link down below in the description. You can check those out too. And if you have questions on where did I find my mentor, or how can I find a mentor, shoot me a message or comment mentor, and I'll send you a message, and I'll definitely help you out in that way. But like I said, if you got anything from this video, like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.